You know, sometimes I forget this movie is actually canon to the View Askewniverse. Just sometimes. Chasing Amy was released in 1997, directed by Kevin Smith, starring Ben Affleck, Joey Lauren Adams, Jason Lee, Jason Mewes, and Kevin Smith. And, yeah, like I said, this one is kind of the forgotten film of the View Askewniverse, and it's probably because it's more of a rom-com than the typical goofball comedy that the View Askewniverse has been known for. But either way, let's just go ahead and get into this review, starting off with the good. And as much as this one is the odd one out, I do still enjoy this movie. Starting off with Ben Affleck, I really liked him in this movie as Holden McNeil, as this lonesome comic book creator, creating a comic book based around Jay and Silent Bob with his friend, played by Jason Lee, who I'll get to in a minute. I really like the way Ben Affleck plays this character. This is probably my favorite character that Ben Affleck has played, simply because of the depth that he brings to the character. And then you have Jason Lee as his writing partner, who's kind of a dick in this movie, and Jason Lee portrays it perfectly. I just really love Jason Lee in this movie as well as Banky Edwards. I'll touch a little bit on the characterization of Banky Edwards a little bit later in this review, but I really like how Jason Lee does play the character. He's kind of jealous of Holden McNeil and his relationship with Joey Lauren Adams' character. I really like how he's, he feels like, Holden McNeil doesn't want to hang out with him anymore, so he tries to sabotage the relationship. And speaking of Joey Lauren Adams, she is absolutely terrific in this movie. She's probably the best part of this movie. And I just really love the chemistry between her and Ben Affleck. I'll get a little bit more on how they handled her character, but I do like the way she plays her, and the way that she really just feels natural with Ben Affleck in this movie. They play off each other so beautifully, and honestly, the way they play off each other, you kind of forget the problematic elements of the way her character is handled, which, again, I will get to later. I really like the story of Holden and Alyssa getting together, learning more about each other, growing together as friends and eventually as a couple in this movie. It's just really cute chemistry between the two of them, which does, explode into a typical View Askewniverse relationship misunderstanding by the third act of this movie. But either way, I really like the chemistry between them. They do great together. And obviously, it's not a View Askewniverse film without at least an appearance by Jay and Silent Bob, played by Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith. They're only in one scene of this movie, which I feel is why this movie seems to go forgotten as a View Askewniverse film, because usually in a View Askewniverse film, Jay and Silent Bob are main characters, where in this one they're just cameos. And I feel like the fact that they were cameos really helped this movie out, because had they been main characters in this movie, it probably would have dragged the movie down a lot, because there's just no way they would have fit into the plot of this movie had they been main characters. So I'm glad they were only a cameo. But Silent Bob gives this amazing speech near the end of the movie, and I really liked it. It's probably my favorite time Silent Bob speaks throughout the entire View Askewniverse. It's just a lot of wisdom in this one scene. And they also kind of keep Jay's dialogue to a minimum, because this is a little bit more of a serious movie. It's still got that raunchy humor, but it's a lot more serious than Clerks, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm really glad they kept Jay's dialogue to a minimum in a movie like this. And aside from the characters, I do enjoy the story here. Again, I'll get to some of the more problematic elements later, but I do enjoy the story. It's a rom-com. It's not your typical raunchy Jay and Silent Bob film that the View Askewniverse has become known for. It's a nice little break from the raunchy comedy of the View Askewniverse. But I do enjoy this movie. I really love the soundtrack and the score. It's all great. Kevin Smith's directing style does fit this movie quite a bit. And aside from that, that's about all for the good. Let's go ahead and move on to the bad. And there's just a couple things I want to address here. And I know this movie was made in the 90s, so you really shouldn't be judging movies by today's standards from back then, but I'm going to anyway. Simply, I'm just not a fan of the handling of Alyssa as a character. I love Joey Lauren Adams, she does a great job, but the fact that this character is supposed to be a lesbian, and I don't know what they were going for with the whole, she's a lesbian, but just with the right guy she could be straight. I don't know what exactly they were going for. It's just a little problematic in its presentation, I suppose. I don't hate it by any means because this was made in the 90s. It was a different time period, but still, it's gotta be mentioned. Also, there's a lot of homophobic slurs that come out of Jason Lee's mouth in this movie, which again, 90s movie, different time frame, still, it's something that needs to be brought up. Either way, that's about all for the bad. Moving on to the final thoughts, I do enjoy Chasing Amy. I don't think it's perfect like Clerks or Mallrats, but I still enjoy this movie. Chasing Amy is a cute little rom-com within the View Askewniverse, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Chasing Amy. Have you seen this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. As always, I'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.